Hi, my name is Jamie Roth, and I am an intuitive healer. I work with women to peel back the layers of social stigma, religious dogma, and toxic generational patterns in order to empower them to live their most favorite and authentic self. Today, I want to talk about energy in the realm of energy work. So when you go to an energy healer such as myself, what does that mean? How does it work? All of that kind of stuff. I wanted to break it down for you today to hopefully make it more understandable. So we're going to actually start with the science behind it. In our basic physics class, we were taught that there's things called atoms and molecules. And since I was in high school quite a while ago, they learned that there are even smaller particles called subatomic particles. And it doesn't matter if it's an atom or molecule or subatomic particle, but they move and they create what's called a vibrational frequency, basically the speed at which they move. And for the sake of this conversation, we're going to suggest that some things have basically a static vibrational frequency, meaning it doesn't change. However, if you really look into the science, you will realize that that's not actually accurate, that all things still move and change their vibrational frequency rate. But to break it down for this conversation, we'll suggest that the things that we can see in our environment, that we can see, we can touch, we can use physically, all maintain a vibrational frequency that doesn't really change. At least it doesn't change in a way that it affects us. So for example, if you walked into my healing studio, you would see this chair I'm sitting on or a couch that I have. And both of us would perceive the vibrational frequency as a couch, meaning we know that we can sit our bodies upon it and it doesn't change. Like it's not going to turn into water and suddenly you're on the floor. So again, basically, basic physics tells us that the things we can see and feel and use have a consistent vibrational frequency. However, and let me back up and say that science also has lots of tools, actual like instruments and measurements for vibrational frequency. So like kilowatts, that's a measurement of vibrational frequency of energy. Calorie is also a measurement of vibrational frequency. So it's all around us all the time. Now, quantum physics takes it much, much further, and it suggests that not only do the things that we can see and touch and use have a vibrational frequency, but everything does. Everything, including our thoughts, our words, and our actions. The stars, the moon, everything. So how that relates to us is that as humans, we definitely don't stay one static vibrational frequency. We move because we are made of blood and bones and spirit and thoughts and emotions. So we change moment to moment sometimes, day to day. We absolutely change our frequency based on things we're wearing. Clothing has vibrational frequency. Linen, for example, has the highest level of vibrational frequency, meaning the healthiest version of high vibrational frequency, whereas synthetic fibers like spandex and things like that have 0% vibrational frequency, which clearly I'm not entirely sure how that manages to be when everything has a vibrational frequency, but it is very, very low on the scale. I was just looking at a chart the other day that said those have 0. Obviously, they're going to have some vibrational frequency because everything does, but overall, it's just meaning they have a very low, meaning slower vibrational frequency. Emotions have been proven by science to have a vibrational frequency. There is a scale based on hertz to give vibrational frequency to emotions. When you look at that scale, you will notice that at the fastest vibrational frequency are things like joy, gratitude, authenticity, love. At the lowest or slowest vibrational frequency are things like apathy, anger, grief. Now, one thing I want to mention is, so this is based on speed, right? So really you're talking about how fast or slow or in between a vibrational frequency is. But the spiritual world has sort of co-opted those terms and changed them into high and low vibe. So you'll hear that a lot in the spiritual communities and the energy healing communities. But what we're really changing out and referring to is how fast or slow, the speed at which something vibrates. So I want to make that clear. The other thing I want to make clear is that even though there are higher, lower, faster, slower vibrational frequencies, none of them are inherently good or bad. It is not a scale of worthiness or good or bad. So it would be easy to look at, if you pulled up a chart of emotional vibrational frequency, which you can do, you can Google and find that. You'll often see what looks like a very linear chart. And on that linear chart, it shows that the faster vibrational frequencies are things like I said, joy, love, gratitude. At the slower vibrational frequency on that scale is the grief, anger, so on and so forth. And it would be really easy to look at a chart like that and think, oh, it's linear and I always want to move up. I always want to be at the faster vibrational frequencies. However, doing so causes a lot of like toxic spiritual bypassing and toxic positivity, because there is no emotion that is inherently wrong or bad, okay? Let's be really clear about that. I'll use the example of grief. Every single person on this planet, every single person, I really believe that wholeheartedly, of 8 billion people, all 8 billion people will grieve something. We are all going to go through some kind of loss. Loss of a home, loss of money, loss of life, loss of a relationship, right? We're all going to experience that. And grief is a very natural and important part of the human experience. So is anger. Anger shows up for people in ways that can feel uncontrollable and uncomfortable. It is often used against another person and even abusive ways. And so we oftentimes think that anger is wrong or bad and we shouldn't experience it. But anger is completely natural and is a worthy emotion, just the same as any other emotion that you might prefer. We can talk about anger in another video, but I do just want to point these out as examples that not only is healing never linear, energy is not linear, and emotions are not linear, and you are not always meant to vibe high. Okay, let's be really clear about that, because I get really frustrated with the spiritual community when people are like, all love and light, just think positive and everything will be okay. There is some truth to that, right? If we're talking about energy and vibrational frequency, it stands to reason that if you are holding your thoughts, your brain space in a faster frequency of, these faster emotions, the love, the joy, the gratitude, the authenticity, you will feel better, you will manifest better, things like that. But as humans, we travel all over the scale based on what I was saying. Go back to what we wear, what we eat. Food absolutely has a vibrational frequency. Let's use the suggestion of like a salad out of your garden or your neighbor's garden, like literally leaves that are just filled with actual like sunlight, right? That chlorophyll, you're ingesting that, you're literally ingesting sunlight, which is a very high vibrational frequency or fast vibrational frequency. You got the tomatoes, the cucumbers from the garden, like it's just filled with nutrients, it's filled with sunshine, it's filled with life, versus say fast food or really any processed food. That's going to have a very slow vibrational frequency. I think we can all just make sense of that, right? Like a McDonald's hamburger, those things are grown, the cows are grown in typically inhumane ways, tearing down the rainforest, the amount of hands that have to, the meat, that the flour, all of the ingredients have to pass through. Not everybody that's making that product or getting that product to you is going to be high vibe or in a faster frequency, in a great headspace, healthy, all the way until you pick it up at the McDonald's drive-thru, right? So clothing, textiles have vibrational frequency. Emotions, food, illness has a vibrational frequency. I'm guessing you can imagine that things like cancer have some of the slowest vibrational frequency, whereas health and healing, wellness have a fast, high vibrational frequency. And then obviously it's a spectrum of in between, a cold versus the flu versus COVID versus cancer, they're just going to get slower and slower in the vibrational frequency. So this also goes to, thanks to quantum physics, we realize we're basically living in what's called quantum entanglement. It's just a soup of vibrational frequencies everywhere we go. And you are constantly being manipulated in that frequency. And I don't mean manipulation necessarily in a negative way, but also sometimes. But just by sheer essence of going into a store, for example, your energy is going to be pulled in different directions. You're going to feel certain things, think certain things, all because of the vibrational frequency that is around you. So a comparison that I like to give for spaces is think about the difference between a Walmart and a Target. To me, although I don't shop there very often, really at all, but I have in the past, but to me, Walmart is the kind of store that you just want to run in and get stuff and get out. Of course, I'm aware that there are people that like hang out in Target and do like the Saturday night thing in in Walmart. I get that. But just as a generalization, it's one of those like just huge big box stores that you know has whatever you're gonna need. It's gonna have it. You just know that. And it's probably gonna be cheap. So you're gonna run in there, get what you need. Maybe you get stuck getting a few more things, but you get out. The colors are blue, obviously. They're theme colors. You know, the product is typically cheap. That sort of vibe, okay? And when you go in there, it's just, that's the vibe. Quick, get in, get what you need, probably spend more than you need, get out. Whereas Target is more like a come hang out, come have a coffee, get you some Starbies, go check out the home goods store, smell the candles, feel the pillows, like, oh, don't you need something over here in this aisle? We've got a whole gardening section. And while Walmart has a lot of those things, Target is more like a girls' night out thing or a date night. Like they market it like that, you know, like come hang out and be. I mean, the whole joke with Target, right, is I've spent more than I ever needed to. Good thing that we're all boycotting Starbucks and Walmart and Target at this point for terrible practices. But nonetheless, I'm using those examples because I think we can all understand the difference. Also, Target's colors are red. You know, things are a little bit more expensive, so it calls in a different socioeconomic standard of people. So all of that plays into energy and how you feel in a store, how long you're gonna stay in a store. On that note, we can talk about marketing in general in stores and the vibrational frequency, the energy of them. So you probably know this, but companies spend billions and billions and billions of dollars on marketing. And that marketing is all about how to energetically hook you. It is also to emotionally hook you, which is energy, to mentally hook you, which is energy. It's to draw you in and make you feel this sense of, I want, I need, I will feel better, this will fulfill me. So every word on every package, every color used from every company, every graphic in the store on each product, the store's layout, the store's colors, like the blue versus the red, Walmart versus Target, is all to play on energy. It is all about vibrational frequency. Marketers wouldn't tell you that. You know, they'd say it's a psychological thing, which it's that as well. But it's all energy because everything is energy. Our thoughts, our words, our actions, everything is energy. And so when you walk into a store, you just immediately get the sense of, well, lots of things. If you're low on cash, it might be instant stress, you know, and just trying to grab what you can and look for deals. But this is also why they move things around in the stores. It's to create a different kind of energy and also to pull your attention to products you might not have seen before. It's all energy, all of it. So let's see, I talked about food, illness. Okay, let's talk about thoughts and emotions. So let's take the words as well as the feeling behind them. Let's start with hate, okay? If you are feeling hatred towards something or someone, and you really feel that, you're gonna sense how that's heavy, it's thick, it's dark, it's hate. If you're speaking hateful things about someone, you're speaking unkindly, you're gossiping, you're sharing unkind things, you're saying it to them, you know, the fuck yous and I hate you and you're a terrible person, all that kind of stuff, that has a certain vibrational frequency. It's undeniable. And it's not only what you're giving out, but it's how you feel inside. It's dark, it's heavy, it's thick, it's icky. Now let's think about love. Total polar opposite, right? Love is typically kind and compassionate and gentle It can also be very passionate and exciting. But when you're speaking love about someone or towards someone, or you're receiving love, it's warm, it's a fuzzy blanket, it's comforting, it's sweetness, it's beautiful, right? So hate versus love, just even the two words dredge up different sensations, much less if you're speaking them or feeling them in some kind of way. So again, let's go back to the basics where everything is made of vibrational frequency. Some things have somewhat of a consistent vibrational frequency, the things we can see and touch and feel. But we've learned from quantum physics that it goes way beyond that, and everything, including our thoughts, our words, and our actions, have vibrational frequency. So when you go to an energy healer, what that means is that you are probably operating at a slower, lower vibrational frequency. Doesn't mean you're wrong, doesn't mean you're bad, doesn't mean you're evil, sinful, none of that. It just means that you're caught in something that you need a little assistance with, a little uplift with. It's, so again, I want to really hone in on that as humans, we fluctuate in our vibrational frequency based on what we put in our body, put on our body, keep around our body, physically, people, all that stuff. And no motion is inherently bad, so you're not just low vibe, and you are likely to have some low vibe thoughts occasionally, hateful or unkind. I mean, it's all part of the human experience. And so even though things like grief and anger are not inherently wrong or bad, the challenge comes when you're vibrating in that space too long or too often, and it leads to things like depression, for example. So grief, let's use the idea of grief, how everybody's going to feel grief. That's natural, it's normal, it's going to happen. So there's nothing bad or wrong about being in grief. The challenge is if grief is extended and you can't ever get out of it. I've personally witnessed this in people where, you know, a loved one dies, and rightfully so, they move into grief, but they're never quite able to get out of it. And the rest of their life is lived from this grief-stricken place. And I can understand that and have deep compassion for it, you know, especially like loss of a child or spouse. I mean, loss is hard, you know, death of people you love is very painful. It's very hard. But getting stuck in it and only being able to live through that lens, which is a very slow frequency, that is not particularly healthy. So when you go to an energy worker, the idea is that someone such as myself has trained in a modality or several modalities and understands and knows how to tune into a faster or higher healing frequency. With my clients, I always describe it as love, but I also always say that every practitioner has sort of a different vibe to their love that they're giving. So mine tends to come off as very, very motherly, nurturing. I'm like a high level cheerleader for my clients. Like, I got your back. I go into super protective mode. My clients typically tell me they just feel so seen and validated and heard and just so safe and loved and cared for. So those are sort of my own personal energy, vibrational frequency stamps within my healing modality. You would think all healers have those sort of things, but all healers and practitioners are a little bit different. Just like, you know, every therapist is a little bit different in how they operate, how they vocalize things and give you advice, or maybe don't. All massage therapists are different. You know, you can go to one who's more like a sports massage therapist versus like a relaxation massage therapist, spa massage therapist. So when I say that practitioners have a vibrational frequency, we do, but we still have our own like authentic one that comes with that. So when you come to an energy practitioner, I work hands-on, but I also don't have to, because everything is energy, including thoughts and words. I can sit with somebody and absolutely emit a frequency to them. For example, I have a good friend who had a surgery a while back, and she requested my company just to hang out with her just while she was recovering. But she was kind of down in the dumps. She was feeling a little alone and not really supported by others. And so when I got there, and she was also in a lot of pain. So when I got there, you know, she was kind of down in the dumps. She didn't even really get up to get me at the door, which was not necessary. But anyways, she didn't move is what I'm trying to say. And we sat there for a while, and I never touched her at the beginning, not one time. And I didn't even sit on the same couch with her. We were actually in chairs, you know, like opposite each other. And we just talked. But I was emitting a higher, faster vibrational frequency intentionally, but also that's just how I am when I'm your friend and I'm loving you. Like, it's a natural thing. All of us do it. But I also was intentionally doing it as well to offer some healing for pain relief and to help her sort of brighten up a bit so she could just feel a little bit better, because that's helpful for healing physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And by the time we were wrapping up, she was, when I first walked in, she was gray. Like, she looked like someone who was ill and had surgery, you know, wasn't feeling her best. So she was kind of gray, a little bit listless. Like, she was still functioning. She could get up, use the bathroom, get some food. Like, she wasn't totally physically incapacitated, but moving very slow and just kind of, bleh, you know, because she wasn't feeling good emotionally on top of the physical pain. By the time we finished up with our time together, she was literally brighter, had just a slight bit of glow. The gray was gone. She had a little more pep. She got up, she hugged me, and she said, "I feel so much better. Thank you for coming over." And that was just from me being present, holding space, loving her. And again, I never even touched her, but I was emitting a vibrational frequency because I know how to do that with my mind and with just my energy. Like, I'm experienced in this. And so I was offering her healing just by sitting with her. Now, when clients come to me, though, I do hands-on healing. My foundation is through Reiki. I'll do a video on Reiki specifically another time, but that is an ancient Japanese hands-on healing technique where you do touch someone's body gently. You're not like manipulating it like a massage. You just place your hands on their body and emit the frequency. And the way I describe this for people is what's happening is you're coming in with a lower vibrational frequency due to life. And honestly, we should all be getting energy work regularly, just like you would get occupational therapy, chiropractic care, massage. Like, those are things that you get for self-care, for injury wellness, for, injury healing, for spiritual wellness, physical wellness, mental wellness, for maintenance. Energy work is no different, and I'm so glad that after doing this for 23 years, people are really finally starting to come around to this. Because when I started 23 years ago, especially I was in the deep south of Mississippi, like, most people had not even heard of energy work, and you know, it's just always labeled as like woo-woo and crazy and what is that, and that still happens. But people now know the words energy work, or at least Reiki, or maybe acupuncture. They know it more and they come to it more easily. But I really suggest it because I consider it like, I have so many metaphors, like an oil change or a filling up your gas tank. But again, you're going to come in feeling a little slower for whatever reason. Life stresses doesn't always have to be like deep trauma. It can just be stresses. Again, it's like an oil change or a tank fill up. So you come in and I'm going to get that higher vibrational frequency into your body. Particular with me, I do hands-on healing, as I said. It's also going to be through our verbal exchange. Sometimes I have clients that we never get on the table. I also have virtual clients that we also sometimes just do talk intuitive counseling sessions, which always come with that energy work because I know how to emit the frequency needed. Or I do the hands-on energy work from a distance, long distance healing. So my hands aren't actually on them, but they are receiving, energy work without like the talk part, just like you would if you came into my space, except you're there and I'm here, because it's all energy and there's no barriers to energy. Time is not a barrier, space is not a barrier, distance is not a barrier to energy. So I'm going to fill you up with that faster vibrational frequency that's going to bring you in your body, your cells, into a higher vibrational frequency, a faster frequency. And as we've already discussed, those faster frequencies are things like health, wellness, joy, gratitude, love, authenticity. It's the spaces you want to be in, even though, like I said, all the other spaces are okay. The other emotions are okay. You're okay to fluctuate and experience. But yes, do we desire to feel good most of the time? Yes, of course. Nobody really wants to be angry all the time. So when you get put into that faster vibrational frequency, it can be life-changing with one session. It can also just be more like a uplift, and then you have to come back a bunch more. It can be maintenance, like I said, where maybe you come once a month, just like you might get a massage for your musculoskeletal system. And the way I express it or liken it is like an energy session is like giving you a leg up, like put your foot in and I lift you up, because when we get stuck in those slower frequencies, it's like living like this, right? There's just a wall in front of you and you can't see above that. So everything just is based on what's right here, the difficulties, the challenges, the pain, the suffering, until it's just suffocating you. So when you get energy work and your vibrational frequency moves upwards to get more clarity, peace, stillness, calmness, you can get a different perspective. You come above that wall, right? And it's like, oh yes, there's so much more than what was right here. I forgot about that, or I couldn't see it. I've been blinded. I've been in this pain and suffering for so long. I've been blinded to remember that there is like a 360-degree view. There are options, there are choices. And so one session can be life altering. I've had many people leave and go make some huge life change they didn't even realize they were on the precipice of making, or that was even going to be an option. They came in feeling slow, sluggish, depressed, angry, and grief, and they left feeling refreshed. Now, sometimes on the other side of energy work, I've noticed with clients, I would say probably 8 times out of 10 clients leave after an energy session, no matter what they're coming in with, what vibrational frequency. I don't give people like a number. I don't do that, but it's just like, okay, you're slow, sluggish, obvious things. But sometimes, I would say 8 times out of 10, people feel lighter and brighter initially after energy work. You know, they feel kind of cleared out, a little more relaxed, lighter, brighter, softer, you know, ready to tackle things again, got a different viewpoint. Sometimes though, 2 times out of 10, people feel heavier and really exhausted after energy work. And the reason for this is because not everybody jumps alive when stresses have been reduced or relieved. The example I give of this is that my husband and I went through this really tumultuous experience, like this 3-year, really challenging, difficult experience. We were in it together as a team. It wasn't me against him. It wasn't that. But it was just a very stressful experience as a part of our life and our marriage together. And when there was the finality point to when that stress ended, like the situation was resolved, those responsibilities were dissolved, and we were free again from the shackles of that stress. And it was very telling how him and I handle things differently, because his instant reaction to that load-bearing weight, just the bricks on top of us of this stress, of this, just the shit that was going on, when those were lifted, he was like a buoyant, right? He like bounced back, like, this is, oh, we're free. This is so great. We can finally move on with our lives. This is so good. I had the opposite reaction. It was like I had just been carrying that weight, and it had just been pushing me down into the ground so much that when the weight was lifted, even though yes, there of course was relief, I actually went into burnout mode. And so I have found that with clients, a lot of times lifting that weight, that stressor and stuff off of you does not mean you are going to be buoyant immediately. A lot of times, sometimes you will end up feeling exhausted or tired or depleted. That doesn't mean the energy work was wrong, that something went wrong. It means you need rest and you need sleep. So 10 times out of 10, no matter whether you left feeling lighter and brighter or thicker and just exhausted, once you get that good night's sleep that energy work almost always grants people, the next day almost everybody feels lighter and brighter and buoyant. So, you know, there's no one way that people experience energy work. I'll speak to that for a minute. So what an energy session can feel like is it varies. So you might feel heat, tingling, coolness, emotions often come up. I mean, the number of times a week with clients that I hear, I'm trying not to cry, or I'm gonna cry, or oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm crying because I never cry in front of people. Point being that a lot of people cry on my table. I am a crying place. Don't let that scare you off. Crying is a release. Crying is healthy. It's nourishing. It's a great stress reliever, but isn't also telling that people are very afraid of crying and emoting and showing that. That's probably, again, a video for another time. But just so you know, emotions can come up. Sometimes anger comes up. Sometimes joy and elation comes up. It's not always hard stuff that comes up on the table or in session with me, sitting with me. For the first energy session, like if you're brand new to energy and you're thinking about going and getting an energy session, I would say most people spend a lot of time in their head, like, am I doing this right? What is she doing? What am I feeling? Things like that. It's just, as a human species, we've gotten to the point where we try to intellectualize everything and we just try to make sense of it mentally. That's our comfort zone. Our comfort zone is not so much in the spiritual realm. It's not in the energy frequency realm. It's not in the emotional feeling realm. It's not even in the body physical feeling realm. It's typically in the mental realm of, if I think about it enough, I'll figure it out. If I worry about it, ruminate. So I know that most people really spend a lot of time in their mind for the first session, but still receive a lot of benefit. So yeah, as the energy practitioner, I am so attuned to energy that at this point I am able to feel pain and what kind of pain. Like if you're someone who's prone to headaches, I can pretty much always figure out where in your head you get them. This is without you saying anything to me. Once I get my hands on your head, I can feel like, oh, there's someone who gets headaches back here or up here, all over. And I can tell if it's like a stabbing, an aching, what kind of a headache that you tend to get. One interesting sensation that I feel how very often, especially in this day and age, is the fullness of people's mind. I can tell that people who really, really are mental all the time, like always thinking, always trying to intellectualize, deep worriers, ruminators in their mind, a lot of anxious thoughts, I can feel that. With women, when I get down to that womb space, I can feel how women's cycles are. So I can often feel if a woman is currently bleeding. I can feel if there is pain and aches. I can tell if there is trauma in the womb space from things like sexual assault, birth trauma. The heart space, that's a big one. I can feel things like when people are able to give love, but they aren't really able to receive love very well, or perhaps they're shut down and really blocked. I can feel when there's a lot of anger, deep love. The other day I had a client who was working through some test anxiety. She needed to take an important test to pass to maintain her career, to step into her career, her chosen career, and maintain it. And this test is like make it or break it. So she came in with a ton of anxiety and really freaked out about taking the test. So we did some intuitive counseling. I was working with her vibrationally through my words. I was very specific in how I was speaking to her and filling her up to reprogram her vibrational frequency of thoughts in her mind from anxiety to I got this. So I use my words a lot and very specifically because they carry a vibrational frequency. And then I got her over to the table, and I think it was when I was on her heart, I felt this just giant sense of how badly she wanted this. Like I verbalized it. I was like, oh my gosh, through your heart energy, I can just feel how badly you want this, like how much you want this, how important this is to you, how this is like, this is it. This is your present. This is your future. And she was like, so bad. I want it so, so bad. Also with energy work, I can feel injuries. So I have a son who's an athlete, and for all the years, he's 19 now, and all the years he's been playing football, injuries are a dime a dozen, unfortunately. But I've used my energy work abilities, my ability to perceive energy, to feel it and know it and read it, to determine how bad injuries were, to determine if he needed to seek extra care or he just needed the energy work to heal them, which we've done a lot of. He loves his energy work. He loves it. I mean, he is just like, Mom, I'm hurting. Mom, I'm hurting. Mom, I'm hurting. Mom, I'm hurting. It's like constant energy work. He loves it. it's been very beneficial and healing for him. But sometimes he'll come home from a practice or something and be like, oh, I hurt my knee, or this is hurting my ankle. And I will put my hands on it to kind of gauge, like, how severe is this? Does he need a lot of rest? Is this just sort of like, it's just sore from today's practice? Or does he really need like medical attention? Or, does he need to be put in a sling? And I've nailed it every time. I mean, I'm always right about it. So, gosh, there are so many examples I could give of energy work and the benefit of it and what you might experience or what I experience. One other thing I'll share is like different body parts, including like our organs and stuff, hold different vibrational frequencies, particularly when it comes to emotions they process and traumas they process. So, for example, the kidneys are the organ that are often associated with processing fear. So I can feel that if my hands are on the kidneys. Lungs are the organ that are associated with processing grief. The right side of your body is associated with the masculine and or father wounds, things in your life. The left side is associated with the energy of the mother or the feminine. I mean, it's just a really, really fascinating, beautiful process. And energy work is so real and valid. I have helped thousands of people around the world. Again, let's bring that up, that energy is everything and it's everywhere. So distance doesn't make a difference. I've literally had clientele worldwide. I've had clients all over Germany, Thailand, Australia, Sweden, Brazil, everywhere. And not only when I first started doing my work, so I've been doing this for about 23 years. When I first started doing my work, so Zoom wasn't a thing. I'm an OG, like a Skype girl OG, but also just even phone. So the energy work I used to do, the way I used to do the long distance energy work was I'd call a client. I'd say, okay, get yourself comfortable. If you want some music, go ahead. Are you ready? Are you situated? And they'd say, yeah. And I'd say, okay, let's hang up the phone. Cause I wasn't about to be on the phone. I think that's old school, right? Now it's, what is it now? Cell phones. We don't hold up to our ear, do we? But I'd say, okay, let's put the phone down or, hang up. I'll call you back in 45 minutes so we can discuss your session. And they would just trust that I was doing something. I could have gone out grocery shopping and they wouldn't have known. I didn't do that because I have integrity and I do my work. But I sit there and I think about them. I call their name a lot. I do a lot of Reiki long distance. And so I use the symbols and things for long distance healing according to Reiki energy healing work. And I get a lot of information and feeling. And then when I would call them back, we would discuss the session. And every time, all the time, clients were always able to identify where I was at. Like I'd be like, oh, when I was on your head, I was feeling this. And they'd go, oh my gosh, I was like tingling in my head at one point and I just thought da 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 da. Or we'll share thoughts. I'll be like, well, this came up for me. And they'd say, oh my gosh, I was thinking about that the whole time. Like I just couldn't get off that thought in my mind. And I would know exactly what that thought was. But not really mind reading per se, but just picking up on the energy, the vibrational frequency of the thought. I've had people describe numerous times that they felt like I was with them in the room. Like they'd be like, at one point, I actually thought you were in the room. I opened my eyes to look because I was like, how is she here? Because I felt you when you were like on my knees. I have countless stories like that because energy is everything. We're all living in it. And it's really just attuning to that frequency. So an energy healer is someone who is skilled at vibration, tuning into a certain vibrational frequency, a higher, faster healing frequency in order to transmit that to you. So you now are vibrating at a faster frequency. Now, if you're someone who's coming in with a lot of like trauma and deep healing is needed, it's not going to be a one and done session. In order to heal, what you're looking for is to match. So you find certain therapists, doctors, hopefully, and definitely healers that carry a vibrational frequency that you like and that you aspire to be. So I am not for everybody and everybody's not for me because I carry a certain vibrational frequency, and the way that I, give it through my words, my actions, my workshops, my events, my digital products, my oracle cards, and my one-on-one sessions are meant for some people that align with that. They hear it, they feel it, they use my product, and they align with that faster vibrational frequency. They think, yes, that feels good to them. It lights them up. It inspires them. They think, I want that. Well, in order to get to where I'm at, you have to do consistent work and you have to make lifestyle changes, period, the end. Energy work will never just completely like absolve you from issues and traumas, just heal you completely. Work on your end is required. So you have to change, habits, kick some people out of your life, distance yourselves, create boundaries, have a spiritual hygiene, a mental hygiene, an emotional hygiene, a physical hygiene. Just like you shower and take care of yourselves. A spiritual hygiene is where you meditate, things like you're tapping into higher vibrational frequencies. You're using maybe crystals. You're convening with the earth, who, by the way, has like the ultimate high vibration. So does God, universe, or whatever you like to call it or use. Those are the highest vibrational frequencies. And so when you go to an energy practitioner and you find one you really like, that means you're aligning with that person's vibrational frequency and their sort of authentic aura with it. And you desire that and you go to match them. And so when you come into a session for me, I'm raising your vibrational frequency to a certain degree. It's not going to be to my level. This is my lifestyle. This is my work. This is my mission in life. This is who I am. And I also vacillate. I can also get down in the dumps. I'm still someone who can be angry, who can experience grief. So I'm not saying that I'm the ultimate. As we started off with, no spiritual bypassing here in toxic positivity. I am not all love and light. I am a lot of love and light and also some go fuck yourself. Okay, let's be clear about that. So, and I can be an animal when it comes to protecting people I love, especially my children. So, I am comfortable in the scale of vibrational frequency. And when you come in, you get an uplift to a vibrational frequency, but then you have to choose to continue to match it with lifestyle choices and changes. That takes time, as healing does. Same as if you were to go to a talk therapist and just talk through it all the time and make changes to your mindset and then lifestyle changes. I love talking energy. It is the world I live in. I perceive the entire world through energy. There's nowhere I go that I'm not sensing or feeling or reading the energy. It's just how I personally live. I also believe in science, and I also believe in intellect and common sense, and I use all of the above. And I think that science proves spirituality. So yeah, thanks for joining me today. I hope this cleared up some things and inspires you to get some energy work. Again, can be long distance, it can be in person. Not everywhere has energy workers, or at least energy workers are out in the open, especially in more like conservative places and things like that. Energy workers might be a little more hidden. I speak from experience of when I lived in Mississippi. But it is becoming more mainstream. Hospitals are bringing in energy workers. I have a client who went to a 30-day rehab, and shared that they were bringing in massage therapists, Reiki practitioners, yoga practitioners, a sound bath healer. All of that is energy work as well. And I thought that was just phenomenal. So it wasn't just, we're gonna dope you up, drug you up to suppress symptoms. We're gonna provide you with healing opportunities. So it is becoming more known, which is just such a fabulous thing. I now have, when I first started doing Reiki, people had never heard of it typically, but now people have heard of it. Most people still don't know what it is, but they've heard of it or know someone that's done it or have an interest in it. So if you have interest in a session, please visit my website, intuitiveencounters.com. I have it listed as Reiki. I also have it listed as an intuitive healing session, which just means that it can incorporate Reiki or my own version of energy work that I do, and intuitive counseling, breath work. So intuitive healing session is just encompassing of multiple modalities of mine, whereas a Reiki session will be just directly the Reiki. And yeah, try it out. See how it makes you feel. The proof is in the pudding, right? Is that the saying? So prove it to yourself. I have yet in 23 years not to prove the validity of energy work to someone that actually comes to me. Maybe not someone on the street that I'm talking to, but anyone that's ever entered in my space or had a long distance session with me has had energy work and the benefits proved to them. I have never, in all of the clients I've had all over the world for all these years, had someone not have some form of proof of the validity of energy work and how it can be altering, whether it's just that day and moment, whether it's about that circumstance, or whether it is life altering and life changing. So I encourage you to try it out, to expand your consciousness, to expand your vibrational frequency, and please like and subscribe to this channel. And I bless you so much, and I hope you have a great day.